Good evening and welcome to News Tonight on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tina Jha. First up, the headlines of the day. Alleged middlemen in Augusta Westland chopper deal case, Christian Michel remanded to 5-day CBI custody. Prime Minister Modi takes a dig at the Congress, says who knows what secrets will tumble out once he starts talking. In a coal block allotment case, Delhi court sentences 3 former bureaucrats, including former coal secretary HCgupta, to 3 years in prison. 2 officials of Vikas Metals and Power Limited sentenced to 4 years jail. Special court grants bail to all the accused. Campaigning ends in coal-bound states, voting on 7 December. In Rajasthan, Prime Minister Modi gives BJP cadres call to win every booth. Congress President Rahul Gandhi and TDP Chief Chandrababu Naidu address joint public meeting in Telangana. Government calls all-party meeting on 10 December. Lok Sabha Speaker to meet floor leaders of both houses on the 11th to ensure smooth conduct of winter session of Parliament. Sessions to have 20 sittings from 11 December to 8th January. And in order to provide more cash for loans to banks, RBI to cut SLR by 0.25% every quarter from January, keeps repo rate unchanged at 6.5%, retains reverse repo rate at 6.25%, also decides to constitute lokpal to ensure sustainable digital transactions. Christian Michel, the alleged middleman in the 3,600 crore Augusta Westland VVIP chopper deal, was produced before the Patiala House Court in Delhi on Wednesday. The court allowed his 5-day custodial interrogation by the CBI. After the agency said it needed to interrogate him to trace the 37 million euros that he allegedly received for the deal. The court asked the CBI to provide all relevant documents, including the charge sheet, to Michel. Christian Michel, who is a British businessman, was brought to India late Tuesday night after his extradition by the UAE in connection with the case. The CBI says Michel James may prove to be the missing link in the money trail in the alleged multi-crore scam. He will again be produced in court on 10 December. The Augusta Westland case involves the deal to purchase 12 luxury helicopters for use by the President, Prime Minister, former Prime Ministers and other VVIPs when Manmohan Singh's Congress-led coalition was in power. In 2014, the government scrapped the contract amid allegations that Augusta Westland, whose parent company Finmeccanica faced charges of bribery in Italy, had paid kickbacks in India. Christian Michel is one of the 3 middlemen being examined in the case, along with Guido Hashke and Carlo Gerosa. And for more on that big story, we're being joined on News Tonight by Mr. Sanjay Singh, political editor, First Post. Sir, thank you for joining us on Rajya Sabha TV. There's no doubt, sir, about the fact that Christian Michel's extradition is a huge diplomatic victory for India. But considering he's a UK national, was arrested in UAE, how did India achieve his extradition?
This is a very big kind of diplomatic victory for India, for Modi government, and also the way India conducted this particular case. In fact, if you look at it, there was also clamor among various political parties. Modi government was going hard on it, and before he was actually extradited yesterday night, in fact, the government very prudently and maintained a strategic silence on the issue. Though earlier there were also reports that he was to be did not choose to offer any comments, and yesterday he was finally extradited. Somebody who is alleged middleman, who is alleged to have paid kickbacks to people high and mighty, and therefore this is a very significant moment for India, whereby it shows two things. A, our willingness to fight against corruption, whosoever it may be, and
Indeed.
howsoever and wherever a particular person may have gone. In this particular case, Christian Michel is a British national who was living in Dubai. We have, of course, very good relationship with Dubai establishment in Dubai. But all in all, how the government pursued this particular case, how they kind of managed to convince Dubai establishment, and also they presented this case very well in the court out there, and thereafter he was extradited. Tina, remember, this particular case will also have bearing on other cases, say Vijay Mallya, for instance.
Certainly.
Today Vijay Mallya made a series of tweets whereby he offered to pay back only albeit principal. But
Yes,
fact remains
sir, that brings me to the question that
case has kind of stirred.
That brings me to the question, sir, that India is making efforts to bring to book all the economic fugitives who fled the country. In fact, Prime Minister Modi has referred to them at the UN and also at other international forums, more recently at the G20 summit, where India presented a 9-point agenda. So this particular case having implications on cases relating to Vijay Mallya, in fact, even Nirav Modi, isn't it?
Yeah, very true. In fact, yesterday in a rally, Prime Minister said that whosoever has fled this country and wherever he has gone, they would be brought back. Until then, this was not made official that Christian Michel was going to be brought back to India, was going to be brought to India. Thereafter, this morning, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley also in line would be Vijay Mallya and Nirav Modi. And today, Prime Minister in a rally in Pali went on this particular subject, and perhaps if you look at from government's perspective and from BJP's perspective, rightly so, because this was a huge moment for India.
Certainly, sir. Talking about the political aspect of the case, what would you say is likely to be the fallout of the extradition?
See, in this particular case, there is a lingering suspicion that top brass of then political dispensation about Madam Sonia ki chithi, and also there were diary references where somebody is marked as AP. We don't know whether this was Ahmed Patel or somebody else, or this referred to anything else. But this particular thing is there out in public discourse as to who was that AP and who he referred in his letter about people who would convince and who should be approached, and how Gandhi family was actually controlling nerves of then UPA government, and therefore who all should be approached and how this particular deal could be made. And therefore the political implications of it is very, very serious, and Prime Minister went on whole hog on this particular subject, insinuating that there was few things to worry for the Congress dispensation, in particular for people in top in the Congress.
Certainly. Since you mentioned the secret notes, by the probe agencies that they found out, sir, they mentioned that there's some AP, there's a family. So in order to, get Christian Michel to disclose who the real beneficiaries of the deal were, what do you think would be the line of investigation for the probe agencies?
Tina, probe agency will do their job. I think they are on right track so far in this particular case. And the family, we don't know which family, whether it was referring to Gandhi family or some other family. We actually have no idea at this stage. That would be for investigative agency and to kind of go to the courts with exact details, and courts to decide whether that particular family or some other family is there or not.
Yes.
But fact remains that this particular case, this has come after a long time, and this indicates that we are sincere about fighting against corruption, the fugitives, the middleman, and in these kind of details, even UPA government had admitted towards the end of its term, of course, that there was bribery had actually taken place in this particular case.
Yes.
Now the question is, who took this bribe and who gave that bribe? Who here role of Michel becomes very.
We seem to have lost the communication line with Mr. Sanjay Singh. Sir, thank you for joining us on Rajya Sabha TV. And the Congress party on Wednesday expelled advocate Aljo K. Joseph from his post as Youth Congress's legal department national in charge. Joseph is the counsel for extradited Augusta Westland chopper case accused Christian Michel. Moving on to another story. Former coal secretary in UPA government, HCgupta, has been sentenced to 3 years in jail by a Delhi court in connection with the coal block allocation scam. 2 other bureaucrats, K.S. Krofa, former joint secretary in the Ministry of Coal, and K.C. Samria, former director in the ministry, were also sentenced to 3 years imprisonment. The 3 bureaucrats were also fined 50,000 rupees each. They've all been granted statutory bail. The court also sentenced Vikas Patni, MD of Vikas Metals and Power Limited, and its authorized signatory Anand Malik to 4 years in prison. The court also imposed a fine of 25 lakh rupees on Patni and 2 lakh rupees on Malik. A fine of 1 lakh rupees was imposed on the company. The case relates to irregularities in the allocation of North and South coal blocks in West Bengal to VMPL. In September 2012, the CBI registered an FIR in the case. The CBI sought a maximum of 7 years imprisonment for the 5 convicted people and an imposition of heavy fine on the private firm. On 30th November, the court had convicted Gupta and others. The Reserve Bank of India has maintained a status quo in terms of policy rates in its 5th bi-monthly monetary policy review meet for 2018-19. The RBI has kept the repo rate unchanged at 6.5%. Repo rate is the rate which RBI lends to commercial banks. Reverse repo rate stands at 6.25%. The marginal standing facility rate and the bank rate stands at 6.75%. The cash reserve ratio also stands at 4%. The Reserve Bank has projected GDP growth rate for the current year at 7.4%. For the first half of the next fiscal year, RBI has projected growth rate at 7.5%. RBI has also lowered retail inflation projection to be between 2.7 to 3.2% for the second half of 2018-19, citing normal monsoon and moderate food prices. The central bank has also cut SLR by 25 basis points every quarter from January to March until SLR reaches 18% of the net demand and time liabilities. The current SLR is 19.5%. The Monetary Policy Committee maintained the policy stance to calibrated tightening.
The Monetary Policy Committee evaluated current and evolving macroeconomic conditions and voted today to maintain status quo. Crude oil prices have declined by close to 30% since they peaked in early October at about the time of the last policy, reflecting higher supplies and easing of geopolitical tensions. In many key EMEs, inflation has risen, but the recent retreat in energy prices and stabilizing of currencies may have a salutary impact going forward.
We are also reducing the SLR, which is currently 19.5%, over a 6-quarter period to 18% at the rate of 25 basis points each. Currently, the banks are allowed to use a part of their SLR to be treated as HQLA for LCR. That will, of course, continue even after this.
The Reserve Bank of India has said an expert committee will be constituted to propose long-term solutions for the economic and financial sustainability of the MSME sector. It added the panel's composition and its terms of reference will be finalized by the end of this month.
The Ombudsman scheme for digital transaction will be administered and funded by the Reserve Bank and will cover entities falling under the Reserve Bank's regulatory jurisdiction. It means beyond the banking as well, providing the related services. An expert committee would be constituted by the Reserve Bank of India to identify causes and propose long-term solution for the economic and financially sustainability of the MSME sector.
And news now from the poll-bound states of Rajasthan and Telangana. Hectic election campaigning in Telangana and Rajasthan ended on Wednesday evening. In Rajasthan, 4 crore 74 lakh citizens will elect members for 199 seats out of 200 on Friday, for which over 2,200 candidates are in the fray. Election to Ramgarh Assembly has been postponed following the death of a BSP candidate. The main contenders, BJP and the Congress, have fielded 200 and 195 candidates respectively, along with Bahujan Samaj Party with 190 candidates. 840 candidates are contesting elections as independents. And in Telangana, there are 1,821 candidates in fray for 119 constituencies. KCR-led Telangana Rashtra Samiti has fielded candidates in all 119 seats. While Congress has fielded 99 candidates, its allies TDP and CPI have fielded 13 and 3 candidates. The BJP has fielded 118 candidates. And on the last day of campaigning in Rajasthan, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed election rallies in Sumerpur and Dausa. Addressing the rally in Sumerpur, the Prime Minister urged the people to vote for the BJP government once again. Exhorting the party workers, the Prime Minister said that their mantra should be Mera Booth Sabse Mazboot. The Prime Minister also referred to the extradition of Christian Michel, the alleged middleman in the VVIP chopper deal worth 3,600 crore rupees from the UPA era. He said that Michel will now disclose secrets about the previous UPA regime. Addressing another rally in Dausa, the Prime Minister said that for the Congress, all that matters is the Nehru-Gandhi family, while for the BJP, the country's 125 crore people are their family. And BJP President Amit Shah on Wednesday expressed confidence of retaining the state of Rajasthan. Addressing the media in Jaipur, Shah said that the people of Rajasthan have rejected the politics of caste and appeasement played by the Congress party. He said that Rajasthan must elect the BJP government, which not only helped remove the Bimaru tag from the state, but also took it forward on the path of development. He said the party's aim now is to make Rajasthan a prosperous state. Amit Shah also held a mega road show in Ajmer. Many BJP candidates and leaders were present with Amit Shah at the road show, which saw a massive crowd. On the last day of electioneering on Wednesday in Telangana, Congress President Rahul Gandhi addressed a public meeting along with TDP President N. Chandrababu Naidu in Kodad. The Congress chief also held a press conference later in Hyderabad. TRS Chief Chandrasekhar Rao and party key leaders also wrapped up their campaign at different places of the state. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and a number of senior BJP leaders also campaigned in the state. The state will go to polls on Friday to elect a new assembly. Time for a short break, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching News Tonight. Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan has called an all-party meeting on 11 December, the first day of the Parliament's winter session, to build a consensus for smooth functioning of the lower house. Another all-party meeting has been called by Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu and the government on the 10th of December. The winter session from 11 December to 8th January will be the last full-fledged session before the 2019 general election. In a big success for India, its heaviest satellite GSAT-11 was successfully launched from the French Guiana on Wednesday morning. Weighing about 5,854 kilograms, GSAT-11 is the heaviest satellite built by ISRO. Known as the richest space asset for India, it would boost broadband services in the country. According to ISRO, GSAT-11 will provide high data connectivity to users across India, broadband connectivity to Gram Panchayats under the BharatNet project, and also support high data rate applications for enterprise network and consumer broadband applications. The communication satellite has a design lifetime of more than 15 years.
News, and you heard the applause from the people in Jupiter. Ariane 5 once again delivering. So from the rather focused moments ago, you can see
today, India has achieved a major milestone as its 100th satellite built by ISRO, which happens to be the heaviest, largest, and most powerful satellite ever built by India, is successfully launched by Ariane 5 today. The satellite GSAT-11 is having the 38 spot beams as well as 8 hub beams, which covers the entire country, including the remote places.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated ISRO for the successful launch and said it is a major milestone for our space program, which will transform the lives of crores of Indians by connecting remote areas. Union Minister Nitin Gadkari on Wednesday inaugurated the India Water Impact Summit in New Delhi. The three-day summit is jointly organized by the National Mission for Clean Ganga and the Centre for Ganga River Basin Management and Studies.
At the India Water Summit, Union Minister Nitin Gadkari underscoring the need for proper planning to effectively use of our water resources, drawing the attention of the audience to technologies and innovations that can clean India's water. He disclosed that the results from the Namami Gange program projects are quite visible now.
वो जो कानपुर का सबसे बड़ा सिसामाऊ नाला जो वर्ल्ड में जिसकी चर्चा होती थी, वर्ल्ड वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट ड्रेन्स इन इंडिया, when 140 MLD untreated water is now diverted and no more pollutes Ganga. Kanpur is free from all the ill effect of this drain after 128 years.
Gadkari released the Green Ganga geotagging mobile app on the occasion. Developed by the National Remote Sensing Center of ISRO, it tracks afforestation efforts under the Namami Gange mission. Gadkari also released reports of 5 state projects under the same mission. Union Minister Hardeep Puri, who also addressed the gathering, called Namami Gange a government program that should transform into a mass people's movement.
The response of common citizens, students, to mobilize and undertake cleaning activities in and around the river is indeed heartening. Respect for nature is part of the Indian ethos. Unfortunately, over the years, the greed of some vested interests combined with public apathy led to the degeneration of this great river.
The India Water Impact Summit is an annual event where stakeholders discuss, debate and develop model solutions for water-related problems in the country. This year, the discussion is on the rejuvenation of the Ganga River Basin. Nearly 200 domestic and international participants from nearly 15 countries and over 50 central, state and municipal government representatives took part in the summit. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The Income Tax Department has put into effect new PAN card rules from Wednesday to prevent tax evasion and also to provide flexibility to taxpayers. The changes in the Income Tax Rules 1962 have already been notified by the Central Board of Direct Taxes in a notification on 19th November 2018. Under the new PAN card rules, quoting a father's name in PAN application forms will not be mandatory in cases where mother of the applicant is a single parent. It is mandatory for all entities who are dealing in financial transactions of more than 2.5 lakh rupees to get a PAN. Today is World Soil Day. The day is observed every year to focus attention on the importance of healthy soil sustainable management of soil resources. The theme for this year's World Soil Day is Be the Solution to Soil Pollution. The centre launched a nationwide soil health card scheme to take care of soil health for the first time in a uniform manner to evaluate soil fertility across the country. According to the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers' Welfare, over 15 crore soil health cards have been distributed to the farmers across India. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has called upon people to take pledge to maintain the purity of soil. In a Twitter message, the Vice President said, "It is the duty of every human being to protect this most critical component of nature." And that's it from us in this bulletin. Thanks for your time.